Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Lopez. He's like a Spanish father to the Jones brothers, an absolute legend of the sport. Now, how did this guy, who semi-retired to open up a small martial arts gym in the beautiful coastal town of Wingdang, New South Wales, create the pound-for-pound king? When he left his first line of work in security and nightclubs, all he wanted was a nice little gym to spend his time in, ride his bike to and from. And a guy called Alexander Volkanovski walks through the door and sends him on one of the most epic runs in MMA. This guy, very cool story. You'd never think that a little town from where he is from would pump out such an amazing fighter, and other fighters too. He's done a lot for the sport in New South Wales, whether it's fight shows, coaching, creating an awesome community known as Freestyle MMA. This was an absolute pleasure to sit down with Joe Lopez after tormenting him all week. I only wish I had the footage of our round together, but I'm not going to talk too much smack about him. Much love for Big Joe Lopez. I hope you enjoy this episode of A Quick Razz.
I actually look really good in the dark
Yeah,
with a paper bag on my head. I'm at my best.
yeah, I like that. Joe Lopez, the Wingdang Warrior. How we doing, mate?
Good. Welcome to Wingdang.
Mate, this is a very cool little gym you've got.
Yeah, thanks. I hope you've had a good time down here.
Yeah, besides hanging out with Craig as much as that I have, it's been killer. You know, you've got a good bunch of guys down here. Everyone's super friendly. And then you've obviously got your superstars too.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, got a good environment, good place. Unfortunately, we're moving out of this place and we're moving to a bigger place. As you can see, it's a bit small for what we've got at the moment.
Pretty impressive though that everything that the gym has accomplished, you've done it from a pretty humble sized gym.
Yeah, it's people don't believe that it is this small, you know. I mean, it's not small, but for it to have like a world champion, yeah, it is. We just have to change times around and make everything suit, you know, otherwise we just can't fit everyone in here.
Yeah. When did you guys open this up?
I think I bought this place probably over 20 years ago.
Yeah. And your background in martial arts?
I started judo when I was a kid. I did that for about 2 or 3 years. You know, as most kids, you had to do something. You know, I did judo and then I stopped, and then when I was about 17, all the guys up the beach wanted to do a martial arts, and the closest one to us was Taekwondo. There was a little hall down the road, and we all just went down there, and that's where it all started.
Yeah, no shit. And you're beginning with jiu-jitsu?
Probably after the first UFC, you know, when I seen that, I said, man, I've got to learn this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And John Will came here not long after that and did a seminar, and he actually demonstrated the trap the arm, trap the leg, bridge and roll escape, and I just went, man, how easy is this to escape a mount, you know? Yeah. I said, I've got to learn more of this, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, no shit. So what, that was in the 90s?
Yeah, it was probably late 90s, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been a black belt for?
Probably about 10 years, I'd say.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And
I think maybe, I don't know, you forget when you get to this age.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's such a big thing leading up to it, and then once you get it, like I got mine maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago. But it's funny, once you get it, you're kind of just like, oh yeah, cool, now what?
Yeah. I was never in a hurry to get my black belt. You know, I think I could have got it a lot earlier, but I wasn't belt chasing. I already had a ton of black belts in other styles and stuff. To me, I was just more about learning, and there was no one really around here that I was coaching, so I was sort of self-coaching myself, and then going down to Melbourne and doing a week or two with Peter DeBean, and then coming back, and then just a lot of the stuff was, off books at the beginning, and then YouTube when that came around. YouTube was a big game changer.
Yeah, we had Craig used to buy all the books, and we had the Jiu-Jitsu University, and then
got that one.
Galveo, Drill to Win.
Got that one.
And I've still got them.
So
it's a trip, because you see these little bastards now. They can illegally download everything, or go through YouTube, and I'm like, you don't even understand what it was like to look at pictures and then have to read, and it's a different world out there for these kids to be able to just click a button and they've got access to everything.
Yeah, and then it's also the coaches now. The coaches are so much more advanced. Where us, around here, I was, a blue belt trying to run everything, and I think at the beginning that's the way it was. It was just white belts and blue belts running gyms. That you were the best white belt, and you liked it. You started your gym, and you try to get to your blue belt, and then you could open a legit gym, and that's the way it was back in the day. Because there wasn't, if a purple belt came in, it was like, God. It was a big deal having a purple belt around,
For years in Adelaide, there was, 2 black belts, and then all of a sudden you'd hear about someone that had moved in from interstate, and you're like, oh my God, like, where are these guys? And now there's a bunch of good black belts, and there's quite a few McDojo black belts as well. But it's funny how fast the sport has changed. It's going to be bizarre to see where it's at in another 10 years. Craig probably won't be alive by that point, but we'll be able to see it.
I'll give him 8 years, I'd say.
8 years, yeah.
At his rate, unless he slows down, he might get 10.
Yeah. When you say you had this place for 20 years, what was it? Did you have a guy sort of say, "Hey, I want to fight," or was it just like a natural progression in the gym that all of a sudden you had guys wanting to fight and you put together a team? Or
no, this more started. I was pretty heavily involved with the nightclub scenes and all that with the security, and I got to 40 years of age, and I went, I've had enough of this. I can't keep doing this. I was at that stage. I was set up, so I sort of wanted to semi-retire. So I bought this place. I only lived down the road, and it was more semi-retirement, doing something I loved, which was teaching, and giving something back to the sport, because through being able to fight and defend myself, it gave me my security business, and I wanted to give a little bit back, and that's why I started it. And it was more just. It was more all cash back in the day, and it was all more about, as soon as I got enough money, I'd go on a holiday, surfing holiday, I'd take the family away on a holiday, and it was just more of a lifestyle change. I wanted to retire, and then I had a couple of fighters here and there, but I wasn't being real serious into it. There was no one really that was taking it that serious, I should say.
Yeah.
Till Alex came along, and Alex wanted to get to the UFC. I wanted to put someone into the UFC, and we both had that same dream, and we went and we did it together.
Could you tell something special about Alex straight away?
Yeah, he had like special athletic attributes, but so did many other people,
Yeah.
It was probably more of his mindset than anything, he was determined, he wanted to get there, and he put the work in, A lot of people say they want to get there, but they don't put the work in, He sacrificed a lot, He's doing well now, and good on him, but in the early days, he had to, rent his house out, move in with his mum, just sacrificed a lot, and not knowing it was a gamble that was he going to get into the UFC, number one, and then two, the UFC doesn't pay that much. Is it going to be enough to support his family? Is he going to be and you get hurt and it's all over, There's so many gambles when you're into this sport, but you got to really love it and you got to really want to get there,
Yeah, being able to watch him train this week, I think it's every UFC fan's dream to be in a room like I've had the privilege of being in this week, like all top athletes, and then obviously Craig is in there. He's sort of like the cockroach of the group. But watching, I think you guys call it the spider, that cardio workout.
Yeah, the spider, yeah.
It's so dope to see how you guys all just get behind and push him. And I know you said sometimes you'll have a couple of guys doing that at the time, but Alex is the one that's fighting at the moment. But, man, me and Craig were in the corner working with Jack and his coach Ben, and my ears were ringing after. Like, that was an experience in itself, just watching you guys push him through the workout. The dude's an animal. Like, he doesn't slow down. Every training session he's putting in 100%. It's like, it's such a cool thing to see, and it makes complete sense why he is as good as he is.
100%. Like I said, he puts in the work. He always puts in that little bit more, He wants to... And even, when he started his career, every fight he wanted, he never wanted an easy fight. We'd have a couple of choices. We just had a hard fight. Alex, we'll take this easy fight. No, I want the hard one. I don't want the easy one. I don't want anybody to think I'm a pussy, And, all right, let's do it the hard way, son. And, but, credit to him, sometimes you need that, And that again is, I guess it's his pride, that he didn't want to think anything was given to him. He earned everything he got, and good on him.
He put me in a hard position as I've always been a massive Jose Aldo fan. I've never bet against him. And then when he had that match with Aldo, I was like, God damn it, now I'm going to have to barrack for somebody else, because obviously I'm not going to barrack against Volks, but I was like, So yeah, that was wild. His run on the way up to the title was wild, and then his title defences,
Well, a lot of people underestimated him. He was always the underdog, and we liked it that way. Honestly, we liked that nobody ever thought we had a chance. And not only when we got into the UFC, before, I remember when we first went to Melbourne. They brought us down thinking we were just a couple of little, from a little town, these guys won't know anything, and boom, we won the AFC belt. I remember that night we won the AFC featherweight and heavyweight title,
Yeah.
And the guys down there couldn't believe it, They got all these, they were bringing people in from everywhere and spending a lot of money on guys, and we were just doing it ourselves here, No finance, no big coaches, just, learning and getting better.
Yeah, it's the gym I'm from back home, M16, I've said to you this week, like, it's a smaller gym, like the facilities are quite nice, but we're probably 45 to 50 minutes south of the city, and if we've got some very good coaches there, we've got a good fight team, good banter. It reminds me a lot of in here, how you guys all support each other, but then also razz the hell out of each other.
That does happen.
Yeah, I feel like that's always the best environment, though, for people. Like, if there's no banter and their vibe will be off, that's where I feel like any team I've ever been a part of, that's when something special happens. But yeah, it's nice to be able to see a small gym like this achieve what it has, just because, you don't necessarily need the biggest, fanciest gym. You don't need the UFC size cage and stuff like that. Whereas I think maybe some people look for that stuff in a gym, and it's all just sort of part of their marketing.
Well, sometimes the bigger you get, the less connected you are with the people that you're with. I'm at that stage now that I've got like a pretty solid fight team, and then when we move to the new facility, well, I can keep that nucleus there because it's already built, and I can make it bigger from there, if that makes sense, because I've already got this, a good bunch of professional fighters who are, they like a good laugh, have good banter, and it's about that team, and then once you bring more people in, you can obviously you have to fit into that team, because we really have to look after each other, because you're only this far away from actually hurting each other, or knocking each other out. So you're there trying to hurt each, but the sparring has to be controlled, And you can see we spar every day, but we've got our hard days that we do, but 90% of it is just a lot of, touch sparring, because I want the guys to get a good eye, good timing, work their distance out, and that's what we're actually doing, But you've got to do it in a controlled, fun way that you're not worried about, you trying to knock my head off, or you trying to wrist lock me, or trying to break my neck.
Hey, I've been nice to you this week.
Yeah.
We only roll once. You dodged me there the rest of the time. But
because you dislocated my shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else would be still in hospital, but, I recovered.
So you have the unfortunate experience of having my little brother as part of the corner. Did you guys lose a bet there? Like, did you think he was did you go, we'll get this Gordon Ryan in, and Craig turned up?
Well, we wanted Danaher and Gordon, obviously, but, I don't know, Craig intercepted the email, and then, like you said, he showed up.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a downer. No, he's actually a really good cornerman, and he's a really good coach. He breaks things right down, and even though he's not a striking coach, he still thinks outside the box, and he's just good to have there. He's an asset to the team.
I did hear a story from him about the Ortega fight, which I think was the first time he was in the corner.
Yeah,
and when Volks got out of those subs and eventually won the match, apparently Eugene looked at him and he goes, "Oh, that could have been the shortest corner career of your life if he got subbed there."
Yeah. The true story.
And that's another thing that I really like too, is it's like, this is your gym, and then you have guys like Eugene, you have guys like Craig come in. Like, Volks has some of the best people around him. It's bloody cool. Like, not a lot of guys would sort of allow that, in that.
My ego isn't that big, For me, as a coach, it's about making my students better. If I can bring in the best guys in the world, why wouldn't I? They respect me, I respect them, and it's all about making our guys better, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And as you can see, Scrappy was here during the week, and, he was, he was blowing out a bit how we run the thing, He loved the banner.
Yeah. No, it's a very, very cool place to be, and I definitely want to come back at some point. I might bring the fam over for a little, holiday.
Great to have you back,
and, come in and try and. I don't torment you as much as Craig.
Well, Craig was actually nicer to me when I first rolled with him. I was the one who initiated the damage that he does to me these days, because when I first started rolling with Craig, he was actually nice and he was pleasant to roll, but me being me, I just started saying to him, "Oh, God, for the second best grappler in the world, you're fucking struggling with an old man," and that was it. As soon as I said that, he just put a beat down on me, and he's just been doing it ever since. He's been nice to me a couple of times. It's usually when there's no camera around. If there's a camera around, fuck, I'm going to cop it.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like rolling around here if there's cameras, because I know that you guys put a beat down on me, so I look bad on camera. Because I don't do too bad when there's no camera around, Well, especially for a 95-year-old man,
Are you only 95?
Yeah, I know. I look 105, but,
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely aged since coming across Craig.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Everybody says that every time I go away with him, I age 5 years per day.
Yeah, he has that effect.
He does.
Well, the only reason I wrist locked you the other day was because a little while ago, I think I was talking about coming over, and I said I was going to wrist lock you, and you said, you're not Craig Jones. And I locked that away in my head, and I'm like, when I
I've
get my
forgotten
hands,
the insults.
yeah, when I got my hands on you, all that was going through my head was that.
See, you got this one because you wouldn't have been able to get this one, see?
You don't reckon?
It's so flexible. Craig Jones broke this one, so now I can touch my...
Yeah.
I'm double jointed, but this one's a bit stiffer, see, and this is the one you got.
Yeah. That's weird. I would, from all the stories I've heard, you've got quite a limp wrist. So, yeah. I said to you I wasn't going to be too mean to you. After being here and seeing what you've created, mate, it's, an absolute honour to be in here. And I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with the better-looking, superior Jones brother.
Yes, and it's been a pleasure having you here, and it'd be great to have you back, especially when we get the new spot happening. That'd be too good, having both Jones brothers again.
Yeah. Well, it's good for you guys because I'm his punching bag. So we go back and, I brush my teeth too loud, I piss too loud, he's on me. I sleep on a funny angle, he's on me. So it's like, by the time he's in here, he's bullied me all morning. So he's probably nice to everybody in here.
He's never nice. He's just a bitch.
Yeah.
Seriously is a bitch. And, the worst part about it is he's always secretly filming you. He's like one of those, what would you call those, like a pervert or something.
Yeah. He is. He's a pervert when it comes to other people's miseries or times when they're down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Bloody legend.
Thank you.